How you guys doing today? Felonious Bitcoin here. Today I'd like to give you guys a little backstory and insight on why it is that I feel the way that I do about the system and the people in charge of it. When I was about 18, I relocated up to New Hampshire to be with my ex. While I was up there, my birthday was coming up, and she decided to go out and get me a hunting rifle as a birthday gift. Fast forward a little bit beyond that, she gets kicked out of her mother's house and she relocates with me down to my mother's house in Massachusetts. So one day, we go out to Walmart to return a camera, and I go inside to return it. She's parked in the fire lane outside. You know, it's like any other normal day. So I come out and I see 10 police cars surrounded her SUV. There's a gun on the hood of the car. She's crying. The police are in her face yelling. I come out, I decide to being the idiot that I am, I come out and I say, what's going on here? So then they start getting in my face, yelling at me, what's your name? Whose guns are these? You got ID? So I tell them that they're mine, thinking that, okay, if I admit that they're mine, that they would leave her alone. But instead they charge us both with possession of a firearm without an FID card. Being 18 years old, how the hell would anybody know that that's the law? But that's no excuse, right? Ignorance is no excuse. Even though we weren't doing anything wrong, you want to know what happened and how this whole thing came to be was somebody had called the police and said that they saw a barrel of a gun in the back of her SUV, like the very back, not the back seat, but like the trunk area back of it. They charge us both with a felony possession of a firearm without an FID card. First charge, first crime ever, is a felony. Even though I wasn't doing anything wrong, just because I simply admitted that they were mine, automatically I'm guilty. There's no more need for the police to look into it. There's no need to look for the truth. No, just because he admitted it, that's it, case closed. That's the problem that I have, is that instead of looking for the truth and finding out things that are factual, they just take you at face value when you admit to something. That's a problem, I think, because if I admit that they're mine and they're not really mine, shouldn't that be a cause for concern for them? Like, shouldn't they be looking into this, like actually doing police work and doing their jobs instead of letting me do their job for them? I just don't get it. The point that I'm trying to make here is that they could have easily looked into the serial number on the gun to find out that they weren't mine, okay? But I still get charged with it. And it doesn't matter to the court because it's a very democratic state. And I'm not telling you I lean either way, because I don't. I'm a very firm believer in the constitutional laws. I don't feel like the state laws should supersede that by any means, because that's our founding document. That's what we should always go back to when it comes to the law. But these people don't do that. Fast forward a little bit beyond that. I'm getting approached by two men from the military, from MEPS up in Boston. It's a military entrance processing station for those that don't know. And the reason that they approached me was because in the 6th grade, I was given an aptitude test to see if I needed any kind of special needs classes, because I was misdiagnosed having ADD, but I have Asperger's, which is a mild form of autism. I digress. But what ended up happening is I solved 2 calculus questions on this aptitude test, and the teacher that administered the test, she had to submit a letter to the state and to my mother stating that I was able to solve complex problems. I guess the military got wind of it, and that's what piqued their interest to come and talk to me. They got me my GED. I drove up to Maine to take the test, went up to MEPS. I scored highest on the ASVAB test. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to do something with myself. I'm going to be able to, do something for my country. Like an idiot, I'm thinking like that. I have to meet with the psychologist. He asked me, have you ever taken any prescription medications? And I said, yes. I'm not going to lie to him. I tell him yes. And he asked me, what kind of drug was it? I tell him Ritalin. And he said, I'm sorry, son, but you're not going to be able to serve your country because you might be considered a liability on the battlefield. You could easily become distracted, which isn't the case. Misdiagnosis from a doctor that's supposed to know what he's talking about, and I get to suffer the fault of that. It's the point I'm trying to make, is every step of the way, I'm getting kicked while I'm down. The system just doesn't let you get back up. And more fuel on the fire. I can't join the military. I'm 18, I catch a felony. I can't get any normal career or good employment, making decent money doing what I like doing. So I decided to start a website. My website was geared towards hardware, software, and firmware hacking and development. Basically started out as forums where people could go online and talk about different kind of exploits. It was a great community of people. Everybody shared ideas. It was just a great place to be. It made me feel good about what I was doing. So that's what I did. And after my website grew a few years later, somebody had suggested on the forums that I start marketing my hacked cable modems, you know, basically selling them on an e-commerce store. So that's what I did. I set up an e-commerce from the ground up. I set up this website. Come to find out, the Department of Justice isn't very pleased with that idea. So Comcast calls up the Department of Justice and they shut me down. Now I have a federal misdemeanor for wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and computer intrusion of a secured network, which, if you ask me, isn't really a secured network, because if I'm able to single-handedly get in there and gain people online access, then maybe the people that they have working there shouldn't be getting paid. But I digress. We're living in a system that's geared towards kicking a man while he's down and not giving a person any benefit of the doubt to get back up on his feet. That's the problem I have with the system, is it's geared towards kicking a man while he's down and keeping him there. They don't have any interest in letting someone get back up on their feet, to gain more employment, to have a good job where they could do what they love doing. Instead, we have charges getting put on people, regardless if the person's guilty or not. That's the problem that I have. That's a problem that I think a lot of people have with the system, is that the system doesn't care if you have problems. You know what I mean? They don't care if you have charges put on you. Their only interest is gaining more money from you in any way that they know how. And even if that means cutting your fucking throat and leaving you to die on the side of the highway, they'll do it, okay? This is why I think that this country is heading in a very bad direction, because the people in charge of this country, just look at the mess they've made of it, right? That's why I decided to move out of that state, Massachusetts, where I'm formerly from, and I moved down to Texas. The reason I moved down here is because it's a very democratic state, and you can pretty much gauge, based on my story, how most people view the police and people in charge up there. They're like Nazis, and that's all they will ever be. If you guys go, and I urge you to do this, go and Google Massachusetts State Police in uniform, and you'll see that they dress just like Nazis. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what will, because these people have a very bad attitude towards people. They have no interest in giving you a break, even if it's the littlest problem. You know what I mean? You're driving home at 1 a.m, they'll pull you over, they'll start looking through your car, you know, without any regard for the Constitution. They don't give a shit about any of that up there, which is why I decided to vacate that state and make my way down here to Texas, so I could settle my life and be happy and have my life as a free man. And that's what I intended to do, and that's exactly what I'm doing here now. That's the reason I make these videos, guys, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that have similar problems to me, that have problems with the system. And you know what? You can do something about it. You can either change your state if you know how to do that, or you can vacate the state to another state that has more freedom and more like-minded people that are more freedom-oriented. I hope you guys enjoy my content. If you can, please comment down in the comment section if you guys have ever had any run-ins with the law, whether it be a speeding ticket, a parking ticket, a misdemeanor, a federal misdemeanor, a federal felony, or a felony in general. I'd like to know what your experience is with the system, because I feel like I'm a very reasonable, rational person. I'm very logical, and you know, I've had to adapt to a life where this system just decides to kick people while they're down, and that's not something I think anybody is willing to stand for at this point. This leads me to my next point, and that is that these governments, worldwide governments, don't have good intentions for their people. They're trying to roll out this vaccine in record time. There's no liability from the pharmaceutical companies. So that right there should just be a big red flag to everybody. If there's no liability coming from these pharmaceutical companies, if anything goes wrong, if people start dying, dropping like flies left and right, and there's no liability, that kind of raises some questions in my mind, like, okay, so let me get this straight. If a person is dealing drugs on the street, fentanyl, let's say, right, as a drug dealer selling fentanyl to kids, and all these kids start dying and overdosing, right? Does that mean that the drug dealer is not held liable? I just don't get it. You know, it makes no sense. It's like if the people in charge break the law, it's completely fine. But if a normal person does it, you're screwed. You know what I mean? You're absolutely screwed. And I guess that's a problem that a lot of people have, is that, you know, look at the direction that they're taking us in, locking people in their houses, telling people they need to get vaccinated. And then we got the people in charge just blatantly lying to us, telling us we have the greatest economy we've ever had in history. It's just sad, really, because how are future generations expected to, you know, have a life for themselves after all this? You know, so I think that's something that people have to do is to figure out what they're going to do to come back from this. You know, I'd like to keep my life simple, and I advocate that you guys do that as well. You know, if you can, raise your own farm, have your own animals like I do right back there. I have about 100 chickens. I'm going to start selling eggs soon. Hopefully that's not a federal crime, because I'm sure they'll come and shut me down for that, right? You know, if history is any indicator of my past and what's going to happen next, I could say that they'll come and shut my farm down for selling eggs illegally and not paying taxes on them. Some stupid shit like that. But anyways, guys, I got to get out of here. I got to take care of these crazy animals, and I hope you guys enjoy my content. If you can, please leave me a like on this video. If you can, comment down below if you guys have had any similar experiences with the police or the feds or anything like that. And I'd be really interested to hear about it. Considering the situation that we're in right now, please leave a comment, because it means so much to me to know that there's people out there, that I'm not the only person that is having this problem, you know. I will talk to you guys very soon. I hope you enjoy my content, and stay safe out there wherever you are, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope your families are doing well, and I hope you guys are staying out of trouble. Take care.